Bienvenue sur Ici l'entretien. Mais cette fois-ci, nous sortons de nos studios beyrouthins, cap pour Washington. Le président Joseph Aoun vient d'achever une visite historique aux États-Unis. Et pour analyser le bilan de ce déplacement, j'ai l'honneur de recevoir l'ambassadeur David Hale, ancien sous-secrétaire d'État américain aux affaires politiques, ancien ambassadeur des États-Unis au Liban, en Jordanie et au Pakistan, et ancien envoyé spécial pour la paix au Moyen-Orient. Ambassador Hale, thank you for being with us and thank you for accepting this interview. You know both Washington and Beirut extremely well. What is your first overall assessment of President Joseph Aoun's visit? And was it primarily a diplomatic and symbolic success, or did it really produce the commitments that can change the situation on the ground?
Well, thank you very much for having me on. I think that it was a highly successful visit, without any doubt. Obviously, the chemistry between the presidents was quite positive, and that's a very important thing in diplomacy and foreign relations. I would view the summit itself as a culmination of achievements that had been reached prior to the summit, in fact, which is one of the reasons why it was so successful. President Aoun timed this, I think, very well, so that he was able to come with something in hand, which was the June 26 agreement, and to demonstrate that Lebanon was committed to working with us and with Israel on our common agendas, our mutual security needs, dealing with the problem of Iran and Hezbollah, and hopefully even raising the horizon for peace. So that's what made it very special. And I think now during the meetings, I'm sure in Washington, not just with the President, but Secretary of State and others, they laid out plans on how to fulfill those ambitions.
So beyond the warm statement, it was a very warm and familiar statement from President Trump. President Aoun obtained things in this visit, not only things already agreed on before the visit?
I think what he obtained was an appreciation by President Trump of just what President Aoun can do and is committed to doing, and therefore that the United States has a reason to invest in the government of Lebanon and in the restoration of the sovereignty of Lebanon, that this is for real. There's a real commitment there. Obviously, Lebanon can't do these things alone. They need help, and I'm sure they discussed things like assistance for the Lebanese army, international relief assistance for the South as these pilot zones are developed, what's going to come in and rebuild homes and shops and things. So I'm sure there's a lot of details we haven't yet seen, but that will be forthcoming.
President Trump often favors the personal diplomacy and the rapid agreements. It's his style. It's not an usual style, but it's his style. Is that style an advantage for Lebanon because it can break the deadlocks that we are used to in Lebanon?
Right. I do agree with you that President Trump really values the personal touch. Other presidents have as well, as you alluded to, but he's got this sort of special emphasis on that. So I think it was really important for the two to meet. Again, I think there was a common understanding that together America and Lebanon are embarked on a really historic course, and that requires persistence. I mean, the president needs to stick to it. I also think that while we focus on the summit level, the heads of state, there are other meetings of great value, including with the Secretary of State. And I think Marco Rubio has shown a very sophisticated understanding of the elements in play here, particularly between Iran and Lebanon, and the need to keep these tracks separate.
And in your opinion now, Joseph Aoun is back to Lebanon. What should happen next?
Well, the hard work of the first things first, which is achieving the withdrawal of the IDF from Lebanese territory by this process of pilot programs, pilot zones, where the Lebanese army will move in as the Israelis move out. The American element will be this coordination group that was set up in order to verify what's happening on the ground, but also provide some assistance and advice to the Lebanese authorities as they proceed. So I think that's going to be the test. We saw already, it's starting. Prime Minister Salam was down there. The sovereign state of Lebanon is back, but it's going to be step by step.
You just said it is back. The state is back, the legitimate government, and it has a rare opportunity to rebuild the state and to restore the monopoly on the weapon. But this opportunity will not last eternally. How quickly could it close?
Well, you never know. Events, there's so many variables in play here, and there are bad actors who want primarily Iran and Hezbollah, that want everything they're going to do everything they can to defeat this purpose. So it's important to move fast, do it right, but keep going, keep the momentum going. And bear in mind, this isn't just about, while important as it is that we focus on the withdrawal and security issues, which are absolutely essential if we're going to move forward, but there's also a part of this trilateral framework agreement, the understanding that working groups will be set up to start to shape what a peace agreement would look like. And that could be very helpful for people to understand tangibly what the future could bring if this process succeeds.
So the objective is not only non-aggression, it's peace.
Right. If you read the framework agreement, it really spells that out quite clearly. It's basically mutual recognition for mutual security, leading to peaceful, friendly, neighborly relations.
But to have peace, we need all the actors to be at least non-against this peace. And let's talk about the elephant in the room, Hezbollah and Iran, but I will go back to Iran later. The Lebanese leadership is trying to do everything. Hezbollah just a few hours ago issued a communiqué from the MPs, Hezbollah MP, like that this visit was a failure and that it didn't bring any results and the Israelis are still in Lebanon, no reconstruction, etc. Hezbollah need to be disarmed. Can it be disarmed through negotiation and political pressure alone?
I think it has to be a multifaceted approach to deal with the problem of Hezbollah and Iran. And bear in mind, Hezbollah is answerable to Tehran, not to anyone in Beirut. I believe firmly that the people of the South, primarily Shia, but also Druze, Muslims, Sunni Muslims, and Christians, all basically want peace. They haven't seen peace for a long time. Hezbollah will do everything they can, all their propaganda, all their means, maybe even violence, and terrorism again, assassinations, to defeat this. We have to be prepared for that, but we shouldn't be deterred by it.
When you say we have to be prepared, the US,
all of us who have an interest in this, primarily Lebanese. It has to be a Lebanese-owned and designed process that has the support of the Lebanese people. But as I said at the beginning of our discussion, Lebanon can't be expected to do all this alone. The task is very large. It involves other players outside Lebanon. So we have to keep the pressure on Iran. It's a major American goal, but also for America to work with Israel so that Israel does its part in withdrawing as security is reestablished.
President Trump suggested in the Oval Office when we were there that he would talk to Hezbollah directly if President Aoun believed that will be useful. Will direct American communication with Hezbollah is a good thing? It's just pragmatic diplomacy. It may give legitimacy to the Hezbollah.
Yeah, I think the president made that comment in a spirit of trying to be helpful. No American president should be expected to understand the intricacies of Lebanese politics and the complexities in the situation there. It's not a great idea. I wouldn't recommend it. As you say, I think it would lend legitimacy to Hezbollah if they even answered the phone, which probably they might not.
Yeah, because he said it like a few weeks ago. He said it that he spoke to Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is considered as a terrorist organization in the U.S.,
right.
And you don't negotiate with terrorists.
Right. I don't think he spoke to Hezbollah. I think he may have understood that our ambassador or his representative spoke to someone in the Shia community who is obviously passing messages to Hezbollah. We know this is an old story, and so I think it was a misunderstanding. I wouldn't put too much stock in this. Our whole strategy is to rebuild the state sovereignty. Hezbollah is not part of the state. It's an enemy of the state.
Hezbollah has MPs, and the last month or 2 months ago, Washington sanctioned different Hezbollah MPs. Could Washington continue to put pressure selectively on people for not allowing the state to go to an agreement? Can the sanctions be a good thing?
Yes, if well conceived and if well targeted and focused on individuals who are actually harming Lebanon and our own interests, it can be very effective. But I do think it's important that we not do a blanket set of sanctions that might inadvertently harm other people. Lebanon needs a lot of help right now. And so I think as security is reestablished, we're going to have to look about how will Lebanon reform its banking sector, the old stories, the way they do business, and then hopefully we can provide financial support that way. So it's carrots and sticks.
Carrots and stick together.
Yes.
Can we imagine boots on the ground?
I think that's a step too far, but I think that I personally anyway advocate for behind the scenes operational advice by American officers to their Lebanese counterparts, not in the combat areas, but at the...
So strategic advices,
Right.
Officer to officers.
Right, at the company command or larger headquarters, to basically provide our advice, our experience, our information, and show resolve, right? That we're determined to see this through.
Today, what is the greatest danger? Hezbollah refusal to disarm, the Israeli presence in South Lebanon, Iranian obstruction, or the inability of Lebanon institution to deliver on these promises, on their promises?
Well, I think they're all interlinked. I mean, it's the right list of problems that we have to tackle, and it's a daunting list. But I think the first goal that the Lebanese state itself has set for itself is disarming Hezbollah. And as we said earlier, that's going to be a multifaceted approach, not just military pressure, but also economic, political, diplomatic pressure, cutting off their access to weapons still coming through Syria, unfortunately, financing. All of these things need to come together. But ultimately also there has to be an understanding by the constituency of Hezbollah that their future is better invested in the state of Lebanon rather than this proxy militia of Iran.
Last question about Lebanon. If you could recommend one immediate decision to President Aoun and the Lebanese government for the next month, what would it be?
I actually wouldn't advise him to do anything other than what he's doing, what he's committed to do. But he has to do it. There has to be follow through. American assistance will be linked to results. And so it's now on the shoulders of the Lebanese army and the Lebanese president and government to get this done. And I believe they will because it's in their interests.
So let's shift east to Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. There is a view that Tehran might be trying to just buy some time because you have the midterms in the US, there is the Israeli election on October 27. So is Iran playing for time, hoping that the political changes in the Congress, because there is risk that the Congress will switch to Democrats and the risk that Netanyahu will not be prime minister. Is Iran just playing for the time or it's a misreading of the both political systems?
No, I think that's probably exactly what's happening. It's certainly the pattern of the past. If you look, we've had 8 American presidents since the Iranian Revolution and 2 ayatollahs in charge of Iran. So they know how to wait us out. Their system is one of autocracy, so they don't have to face elections. Our presidents and Congresses come and go. Our policies change based on the decisions of those newly elected leaders. We also have a problem of persistence. America, unfortunately, sometimes does something and then walks away before it's completed. So I think it's very important that the Iranians understand that the waiting out strategy isn't going to work. And that's why I think the president's move to restore deterrence in the last week or so is very significant because it shows that maybe Iran miscalculated.
So the approaching election can push President Trump or Prime Minister Netanyahu to adopt a harder position?
I think they have to keep the pressure on regardless of the election timetable. I mean, you could argue either way. The politics, at least in America, might favor one approach over the other. I think my experience is American presidents don't change their national security strategies because of midterm elections.
Okay, but there is the risk that the new Congress will will make it difficult to have budget or to have nomination to continue the war.
It's already difficult. It's already a razor-thin majority for the Republicans. If the Democrats take over, my guess is it's going to be a razor-thin majority for them. Congress can barely function as it is. And these big decisions that you point out, like the War Powers Act, budgets generally require a 2/3 majority in the Senate at the end of the day. So I think the president can still protect himself against things he doesn't want. He may not be able to get the things he does want, though.
And we talked about it just before, Hezbollah and Iran stopping the weapon flow and the financial flow from Iran to Hezbollah. And it was an approach, some said that it was an approach that the J.D. Vance did, the Vice President Vance, when he was negotiating with Iran in Switzerland. And there were also talks that it was 2 different approaches from the Secretary of State Rubio and Vice President Vance, and they didn't agree on it. What do you think? Because Hezbollah is answering to Iran. So should we talk to Iran about Hezbollah and consider that Lebanon is a card in the hand of Tehran?
Yeah. I have a slightly complicated response to that question in that The objective reality is, of course, that the power equation between America and Iran ultimately will shape what's possible in Lebanon and help determine whether we're able to end Hezbollah's domination and influence of Lebanon. So is an objective linkage there. But as a practical diplomatic approach, we should not be making our Lebanon policy subservient to our Iran policy. In fact, the other way around, I would say that we need to keep the pressure on Iran in all fronts, including in Lebanon, to show them that we're determined and they can no longer continue to behave in the arrogant and dominating way that they did before. Now, the June ceasefire, the 60-day ceasefire agreement between America and Iran, you referenced J.D. Vance, it had a few references to Lebanon in there. But I think Secretary Rubio understood there was a contradiction actually between these two agreements, and he, I think, very artfully separated them, which led to the June 26 agreement. That's America's policy toward Lebanon.
Okay. Last question. Is there a new Middle Eastern allies for the U.S. between Iraq, Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, like a new crescent maybe?
Well, I think President Trump's very pragmatic. So any country or set of leaders who are prepared to help us advance our common goals, he wants to work with them. Whether that comes out into some kind of formal or even informal relationship amongst all of them, I think that's a secondary matter. I think the important thing is that the key countries that matter in the Gulf, Israel, of course, Egypt, Jordan, we're all together in this. And there is an awareness, even if there might be differences over tactics, that the American security umbrella is absolutely essential for their future, prosperity and stability. And there's no debate about that.
Thank you, Ambassador Hale. Thank you for this interview. Vous pouvez revoir l'intégralité de cet entretien sur notre site web www.icbeyrouth.com et sur tous les réseaux sociaux.